Hey guys, it's Donnie B. You're listening to episode 14 of Eat It Up, Buffalo Eats Own podcast, and a very proud member of Audio Buffalo. Thanks for coming back once again. Today on the show we have Chef Chris Van Every, who you probably know best as the head chef and owner of No Ramen. Chris has worked at a lot of restaurants in Buffalo since he was really young, and well, many of you maybe are just finding out his name right now. He's worked at some of the best restaurants in the area as well. So he's a very talented chef, and we were very fortunate that he came down here a couple of weeks ago and basically talked about opening a restaurant from scratch, all the hard work that's gone into it, the joy of seeing something that he's created flourish like it has. We went, I think, the first week, and it has had a really good buzz since then. I think pretty much every food outlet has covered No in some fashion so far, and almost all of the reviews have been very positive. So they're doing something really awesome over there, something that hasn't been offered in the area before, at least not to my knowledge, and it's really good food. So I hope you enjoy our talk with Chris. We covered a whole bunch of stuff, so I think it was a really good conversation. Also, thank you to my brother Tom, who supplied the intro music, his band Streamside, and their song Carry Us. Yes. And you can find a link to download that on the post, and we'll probably be tweeting that as well today. So thanks again for listening. So, I guess what I was going to go over is I guess, like, talk about your background, like, what you've been... I mean, you're from Buffalo, correct?
Yeah.
So, like, just talk about, like, you know, raised in the area, and then...
Ask me whatever.
So, how did you get your start in the cooking world? When did you realize that you wanted to...
I was 15 and needed a job. I was lifeguarding, and I didn't have enough hours, and I started working at Santa Sierras on Niagara.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I actually just went there for the first time, like, maybe a couple months ago.
You have the pasta fazool?
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Is it still the same? I don't know.
Well, it was my first time. I actually never had pasta fazool before that. It was like my first, but like when I went there, like literally every comment I read about the place was you have to eat the pasta.
It's one of the best that I've ever had.
Yeah.
And it's made very cheaply, but it's still a great bowl of food.
Yeah. And I really liked the interior. It was so like
old school?
Yeah, old school. Like, I was in a house.
They still have the paper placemats?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And in the one dining room, it looked like it had been a bathroom, but they took the walls but just left the sink against the one wall.
Yep.
And I just was like, this is so great, like how low-key this is.
Part of my job was to clean the bathroom when I got there in the morning. Yeah. That was what I did every morning when I got there. I cleaned the bathroom and then washed my hands and started prepping with this old lady named Rose at a table. Peeling garlic and bags of onions all day.
That's great.
It was really weird.
Did you, like, grow up in that area? Or?
Yeah, I grew up kind of west side Richmond area.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, what drew you in from that whole experience?
Well, I went to college, and I needed to make money during college. I had been cooking a little bit before that, and I was like, okay, I can make decent money cooking. I can pay my bills with it. So I was cooking, going to college, and then I realized, hey, I'm actually decent at this.
Yeah.
I liked going to work more than I liked going to class at UB.
What were you going for at the time?
Communication minor in marketing.
Oh, okay.
Basically towards PR, advertising, stuff like that. And I kind of just realized that I was good at it. I didn't love it at the time.
Yeah.
But I realized that I was good in it, and I could make money. And that's what was important at the time.
Yeah.
Like, I was 20, you know, like, and I needed money. That's what it was about at that time. And then kind of just started to figure it out, and it became more not just about making the money, but actually making good food.
Yeah.
So from there, hopped around a bit, and then went to the CIA.
Oh, you did go to CIA? Oh,
yep.
Wow.
Yep. I didn't graduate. I moved to New York. I took my externship in the middle. They had it in the middle back then. It wasn't at the end. And I stayed in New York.
Nice.
And then worked there for a while, and then came back to Buffalo because I was broke and burnt out. And I was living in Manhattan and Chinatown. It was expensive, but it was
Was it like one of those cases where you're like living in like a closet, basically?
No, I had a gorgeous. It was 3,000 square feet. I shared it with three other people. It was one of the roommates was an artist. There was art everywhere. It was a great place.
Wow.
I basically slept on the floor though in my room, in Chinatown, right on Bowery in New York. Worked at Tribeca Grill, great restaurant, and worked my ass off, making very little money. And then just came back to Buffalo, had a bunch of school debt from UB and from CAA, and was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I started waiting tables at the Rue Franklin and at La Metro and bartending on the side.
Oh, wow. Like all at the same time?
All at the same time.
Jesus.
And paid off all my school debt in basically 3 years.
Wow.
Working my butt off.
Yeah, I'd say so. But
still learning about food. Like, I didn't want to serve, but I needed to make money. And
so you served those whole 3 years?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
I worked at La Metro during the day and then went to the Rue Franklin at night. Wow. And picked up bartending shifts when I could. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It
I mean, you have to do what you have to do.
It wasn't crazy at the time. I mean, like, what the hell? It was just work, and it wasn't that bad. It was fun. I mean, drinking after work with the Rue guys was awesome. I'm still good friends with a lot of them.
I still have not actually eaten there yet. It's one of my...
You should eat there.
It's one of my biggest, like regrets so far with the site is that, like, I really need to eat there. And
you should.
And not, like, during a restaurant week meal. Like, I want to go there and just have, like, a straight-out full experience.
You should. It's definitely worth it. It is a little pricey, but it's...
I've heard this
worth it.
I've heard. I mean, the food is supposed to be great, but I've also heard the service there is some of the best. Like,
yep. And that part of it, just working there, helped me so much. Dee and Joel are probably still hardcore restaurant people. Yeah. I honestly think still to this day that the Rue Franklin is the best restaurant that I ever worked at, and I've worked at tons of restaurants.
Yeah.
While I was there, it was the best functioning restaurant.
Yeah.
It took a lot away from it.
That's awesome.
The front of the house and back of the house experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it really was.
Did you when you started getting into cooking, did you do it at Rue or?
No. Cooking when I first started. So I went from San Isidro's to Oliver's.
Wow.
Yeah. Big jump.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what I was doing at Oliver's because I was so young. Mike A. was actually the person who hired me back in the day.
When he was still there.
Yeah. And I remember him asking me one day to go get him cilantro, and I kept on bringing him parsley and basil and everything but cilantro. And then a couple weeks later, we had a talk, and I was just like, I really love this opportunity, but I'm way out of my field here.
Yeah.
You know, like, I feel lost around all the other guys in the kitchen. They were doing amazing food when he was there.
And like, at this time, like, how long had it been since you had...
I had only been cooking for... It was in the first year of cooking.
And then, but that even was like a break from CIA of a couple of years, right? Like,
yeah, it was before CIA.
Oh, okay.
I was 16, 17 years old at that time. I wasn't even mentally, like, in the game yet. Like, I was just like, oh, tickets everywhere. Like, yeah. And then from there I went to college and jumped around with a couple of corporate places. And then Little White House, which isn't on Main Street anymore, and then culinary school, and then the story goes on.
Jeez.
Yeah. I've worked in a lot of places in Buffalo. A lot.
Yeah, I mean, I like when I saw that you worked at SeaBar and things like that in Oliver's, but I had no idea you jumped around like.
Well, when I was younger, and the name of the game when you're younger cooking is really jumping around, so you can make $1 extra at the next place you move on to.
Yeah.
Like, it's just how it works. I mean, you start off making so little.
Yeah.
Somebody offers you a bone at some other place, and you take it usually.
Yeah.
Because honestly, when you start, the job is so hard that you're just like, how do I get ahead in this game?
Yeah.
When I got older, I didn't jump around as much.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all. I stayed on and off with Mike for 6 and 7 years, you know.
Wow.
And Oliver's was through a connection through Mike.
Yeah.
So it was... I don't jump around anymore.
But, what job would you say was it where you went from, I enjoy this as a career field, like I could make money, to where you actually legitimately enjoyed the food aspect of it?
I have to say that the true turning point was probably going to the CIA.
Oh, yeah?
Because something lit a fire under my ass, and I realized that food was not as simple as I thought it was. It wasn't just cooking. It wasn't just throwing a piece of chicken in a pan. It was more caramelizing and creating a fond in a pan, and how they broke it down in the French sense really made me think more and more about food, the way they teach stocks, just what you're exposed to.
Yeah.
There was amazing. And that's when I was just like, okay, there is a lot more to this than I've been thinking about.
Yeah.
And it completely changed the way that I thought about cooking, plating, and the job itself.
Like, did you pretty much just jump, like, head in at that point? Like, where you just, like, you became immersed in food in general and wanted to learn as much? And
I wanted, yeah. I mean, because the next thing I did was go to New York and move there and make very little money in the one of the most expensive cities in the world, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was right then. When I left the CIA, that was when I was just head in, you know?
Yeah.
There was no turning back at that point.
Now, when we had Hannah in here, she mentioned that she met you in Hawaii.
Yeah.
How did you end up in Hawaii?
So, I was working for Mike at SeaBar, and let's see, I honestly, I went through a horrible relationship. At the end, I was like, okay, I'm sick of Buffalo. I need a change.
That would be a pretty big change from Buffalo.
Yeah. Yep. It was a huge change. And I said to myself, I want to go somewhere where I can make money and learn as much as I can about Asian culture as I can. And I was so curious about where all these boxes of fish were coming from.
Yeah.
I'd been doing sushi at that point for 9 years.
Yeah.
Like 7 years. So I was just like, okay, Hawaii sounds awesome. They got beaches there, you know? And pina coladas aren't bad either. I was just like, okay, so I'm going to move to Hawaii. And I knew 2 people in Hawaii.
Yeah.
One of my good friends from college was there. I called him, and he was like, well, you can stay on my couch for as long as you want. And I was like, I'm going to be there in 2 months. And he's like, okay.
That's awesome.
So I just went and found a place to live on Craigslist and started working. Hawaii was hard. Finding a job in Hawaii was very, very hard.
Yeah.
I got a job offer the first week I was there with Roy's. And after thinking about it and after working on a trial basis for them for about a week, I just decided not to take it.
Really?
What
kind of restaurant was?
Roy's is it's Roy Yamaguchi, famous chef.
Okay.
He's got a lot of restaurants. He's got a lot of money.
Oh, okay.
Great place to work.
Yeah.
He offered me a ton of money to start. And for some reason, I turned it down because, honestly, the kitchen, I think that during the time that I was working at Tsunami was producing better food.
Wow.
Than Roy's was.
You know what's sad is I've heard all those stories about Tsunami and how it was a pretty cool restaurant. It saddens me to know, like, I missed out on that. It was a pretty cool restaurant.
Yeah, but there's still SeaBar, and it's a different restaurant concept, but you can still get the same thing kind of there. Kind of. Tsunami was unique. It was a unique experience.
Yeah. Okay. So anyways, so
I turned that down, and then I couldn't find a job for like 2 months after that. And then I got offered one in this really tiny Japanese restaurant. It was a small Japanese restaurant group. And they hired me, and I was the only English-speaking chef out of 5. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. Because it was basically what I went there for.
Yeah. To immerse yourself in that cuisine.
So I worked at a high-end hibachi, not the Benihana style, it's called Edo style. Like basically, people pay on average $100 a person, $150.
Oh wow!
Like the best Wagyu beef you could have seared in front of you on a tabletop. Sushi as well, full waterfall in one of the walls. It was a sick restaurant.
So that's not like the style though, where like you're making a like onion
volcano. I did learn that there. I did, but it's not something that we did.
Okay, it wasn't
something
that like
that
showmanship.
The guys, like just showed. They just showed me. Like, but it's not something we did.
Okay.
There were flames we had a banana flambe for one of the desserts, but that's as showy as it got. It was more about
the quality of the
quality, and also we couldn't touch the food with our hands. We could only use chopsticks or the hibachi paddles, the spatulas. So it was kind of a show just like that, because the things that I could do with a knife and a spatula, just moving the food and plating in a fine dining style with chopsticks and a spatula.
Yeah, that's pretty...
Is pretty cool.
Yeah.
When you're doing numbers and you're moving fast.
Yeah. Nice.
It was an experience.
Nice. So how long were you in Hawaii for?
I was there for a little more than 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so, when you came back to Buffalo, was that around when you decided to start No-No, or was there a break in between?
A small break.
Okay.
Moved back to Buffalo it's been almost 2 years now. And I started working at Oliver's pretty much immediately.
Oh, okay.
And then part-time at SeaBar. And this thought in my head, as soon as I got back to Buffalo, I knew that I needed not to work for anybody else.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't appreciate working at Oliver's. It's a great restaurant.
Oh,
great restaurant.
Yeah.
And Henry's the man. I don't know if you've met him. He's the guy who owns Oliver's. He knows so much about food. He has an awesome restaurant. But I knew that I needed to do something. I was sick of working for other people.
Yeah, I mean, that's understandable. You do it long enough, it just drains you.
And so I wrote a business plan while I was working, and I went to a bunch of people trying to find money and scraping together what I could, and finally found somebody that was like, okay, let's do this.
Nice.
And put together as much money as I could, and it turned out to be more than I thought I could. And slowly started to do that.
Because I remember hearing about No like for a while, like the rumblings of it and things like that. Like, how long did it take from that stage to actually opening it, which I guess was maybe 3 months ago by now?
It's a little less than 3 months. It's only a month and a half now.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, it was January. Yeah, I was thinking.
So, from the beginning when I first started writing the business plan till now, it's been more than a year.
Wow.
Yeah, it took a while. And also, rehabbing that building into a restaurant was an ordeal.
Well, because that was the former
Sweet
Tooth, right?
Half of Sweet Tooth, yeah.
Okay.
The kitchen side of Sweet Tooth.
Yeah.
But the building was in kind of disrepair. The landlord didn't want to invest money into the space. Honestly, it's great real estate.
Yeah.
So he wanted somebody to come in and change it for him at a decent rent.
Yeah.
So I jumped at it head first and jumped down the rabbit chute, I guess.
Was there when you were thinking of where like a ramen place would work, was it always pretty much Elmwood?
I've always been an Elmwood person.
Yeah.
It wasn't always Elmwood. I looked at a bunch of spaces.
Yeah.
But I've always been an Elmwood person. And growing up where I grew up, that's where I wanted it. There were other places that I could have opened it. It's just, I wanted it in that area.
Yeah.
It's what I love about Buffalo, that area.
Yeah, I mean, there are some people who are 100% only citizen or city people who like just refuse to accept there's anything outside the city walls, and I get that, and I think that the suburbs have things to offer, but like hands down, like there's no better collection of restaurants in a small area than there are in Elmwood. Or
I'm a city person.
Yeah.
I mean, I always live in cities. I never want to live in the country. I want to live right next to my neighbors, knowing my neighbors.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Elmwood is about.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a small community, city-based. It's what I like.
And even the stretch that Nono's on, I feel is like almost like a new up-and-coming section of Elmwood.
I hope so. It better be. I'm banking on it.
But I mean, your place, Vera, has just opened recently, and I mean, even like Thirsty Buffalo seems like it has an up-and-coming crowd that they pull in.
I think that, at least for my block, one of the key factors is Robert Giannani owns a large group of land on that block, and in order for that block really to change, some of his renting policies may have to change.
Yeah. There's a couple of vacant spaces that are unfortunate that they're vacant. Yeah,
and it's all up and down Elmwood, and I don't see those policies changing anytime soon.
No.
But
it was an area that I never thought of, like, that I could go on a weekend and hang out in that area. Or, like, I mean, because we pretty much just drink on ale. And, but, I'm now reason, like, no, there's, like, actually, like, 4 bars in that area that you could just spend a whole Saturday night.
I grew up in Faradays.
Yeah.
I grew up in Faradays.
Yeah. We actually, I went there for the first time when we were waiting for a table at Nono.
Just recently?
Yeah.
You gotta get out more.
I know. Like we were just like, it was like I think a 30-minute wait or whatever. And she's like, yeah, just give me your cell phone. And me and Allie were like, should we just drive back home and wait? And I was like, no, let's get a beer next door and just chill. And it's actually a nice bar there. It's cozy.
It's okay. It's nothing special. I mean,
it's not like but
it's a decent drinking bar with decent people in it.
Yeah, and low key and all the good things that I look for.
Yeah, that's what makes a good bar for me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey guys, just wanted to jump in here and mention 2 other awesome Audio Buffalo sponsors. NOCO. Visit NOCO.com/podcast and find out how you can earn $20 in SaberBucks. And VIPSeats.com. Score your bandit or concert tickets at VIP Seats. Call 1-800-371-6323 or visit VIPSeats.com. And now, back to the show.
So Nono was the first gig where I guess it was all on you, so to speak. I mean, from the start. How was that learning curve from when you decided to open the restaurant to figuring out all the stuff that you have to do to open a restaurant?
Well, the putting together part or the actual day-to-day restaurant operation?
I guess let's start with the putting together part.
The putting together was, oh God. I mean, it's restaurants are, there's a lot that goes into them.
Yeah.
A lot that I don't think the average guest thinks about. So basically I sat down with a lot of paper and figured it out. And, the web, you can find anything nowadays.
Nice.
I mean, I learned how to drywall and run electrical lines. I just figured it out because I had to. And I wanted to. I didn't see... it's my dream,
So it's probably something you were excited to do, like
every day. I woke up. I don't usually wake up early, and I didn't have a job, and I just had to put this restaurant together, and I was waking up every day at 7, 8 o'clock, and just being like, okay, I got to go paint something, or there's a hammer and there's some holes in that wall, I got to fix that, and not even like the real restaurant details didn't come in till 3 months into it.
Yeah.
It was setting up the corporation. I mean, all the little stuff you don't even think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, what was, because I mean, I remember seeing the paper on the windows and the light that went up, or I mean the sign that went up in the front.
Sure.
When did you think that you were going to open the place originally? Like, when was your goal when you thought?
I was delayed about 2 months past where I wanted to be open.
Okay.
And restaurants always have delays.
Yeah, I don't think from me covering restaurants in Buffalo and all the new ones that have opened, there's yet to be one that has been like, yeah, we're planning on opening in April, and then April comes around, it's like, yeah, they're open. Who knew? Like,
yeah, I know.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to happen.
I mean, it doesn't even happen in New York where there's more money on the line.
Oh yeah.
I expected some sort of delay. I didn't expect the delays that I had. 2 months is with the delays counting. I had some problems with just permits and other stuff.
It sounds like, I mean, from everything that we hear about, even from Cantina Loco, it sounds like permits are just a nightmare.
This is my personal opinion. I think the third floor of City Hall is broken. It's completely broken, and they need to reform. I think there's a lot of good people working, but I think the system has to be changed.
I mean, like, for your place, I mean, is there an estimated time when you think that you'll get your liquor license, or?
Sure. I think that I'll have it in 2 months. I'm crossing my fingers on it.
Yeah.
But that has nothing to do with the city. That's the
state.
State.
Oh, okay. That's a state thing?
Yeah. And honestly, the state's pretty much up on its game. Like, yeah, it does take a little bit long to get a liquor license, but there's a lot of responsibility that comes with liquor license.
Yeah. You're on the line for.
Yeah. So I think the delays with that are kind of founded.
Okay. So I didn't know. I forgot that's a state thing.
Yeah. But the state and the county didn't delay me at all.
Okay.
Permits and stuff like that did. But it kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah. Like, did you know from the start that it was going to be a ramen restaurant? Like, or like were you playing around with what you wanted to start? I mean, obviously, I'm assuming you knew it was going to be some type of Asian cuisine.
Yeah. I wanted Asian. I wanted to ground myself in one specific Asian item because I like to cook everything, and my menu could get a little crazy.
You don't want it to be too all over the place? So
yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm either going to do a dim sum, an izakaya, which is a Japanese pub tapas thing, or a ramen bar. And I couldn't do a dim sum because I would have to either use a lot of frozen products, which I don't do, or hire very cheap immigrant labor, which I was not okay doing. And izakaya, I was like, okay, I want it to be more about the food and not about the drinks.
Okay.
So ramen bar was what I went with.
Okay.
How
did you create the menu? Like, was it things that you had in Hawaii that had pretty much?
Hawaii and New York. And just things that I liked throughout my cooking career. Things that were not easy to do, but feasible.
Yeah.
I mean, just trying to pull off something like this in Buffalo is. I mean, it's the only place that is doing it, right?
For the most part in Buffalo. To begin with,
there's not a populace of people who know how to cook ramen in Buffalo. Like, just even like training people.
Yeah.
In order just to use some of the Asian ingredients that we're pulling in is a little hard.
Yeah.
So it was. I just was like, honestly, there was nothing else that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I wanted something that was challenging.
Yeah. I mean, a good ramen, it seems like that it's hard to come by. My friend who lives in New York City, I told him that you had one that had the pork broth. Mm-hmm. And he was impressed because he said, like, in New York City, a lot of the places are afraid to do it because they can't pull it off correctly. It's hard to do. So the whole way that you make this pork broth,
you have to boil it basically for 20 hours, and you use a specific bone in a pig that has a lot of marrow and cartilage, so that it basically dissolves into the soup. And honestly, I think I'm doing a good job with it.
I thought it was very tasty.
I want it to be better than I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
In 3 months, I want it to be, you taste it and there's nothing else you ever want to eat. Because I had that experience.
Yeah.
I've had Momofuku. One of the best dining experiences in my life is Momofuku. It's a ramen bar in New York.
Yeah.
So that's okay ramen.
Yeah.
It's okay ramen. Like, love the experience, love the restaurant. One of the best meals in my life, but I've had much better.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had much better and much dirtier, tinier restaurants that aren't making as much money.
Oh, God, yeah.
Just because of the effort that was put into the broth.
Yeah.
The broth, tonkatsu broth, is an ordeal. And when you have really good tonkatsu broth, you just don't even know what it is. The first time I had it, I thought it was an egg emulsification, basically.
Yeah, because it's thicker, right? And it's got that creamier texture. And
it's basically, so you boil this broth so high heat that you emulsify the fat into the stock.
Wow.
So it's not like French cooking at all. At all. It's not low heat, long time. It's long time, high heat.
Yeah.
So sometimes I sleep at the restaurant just because I worry about the place burning down. So I'm like, okay, I can't go home because I have to boil this for 20 hours right now.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I mean, are there parts of that where like you didn't realize that as being like the sole like?
No, I realized it.
Oh, you did? You went into this knowing like this is gonna be
but
80 hours a week.
Yeah. I knew it, and I'm not unhappy about it at all.
No. I mean, it's your baby. It's
yeah. I didn't actually expect to be this happy about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, you thought like it would be stressful, or?
I thought I would be a lot more stressed.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a pretty demanding guy in the kitchen sometimes.
Okay.
I like to cook the best food that I possibly can.
Yeah.
It's what really drives me in the kitchen. I didn't expect... I've been pulling 85, 90-hour weeks since the beginning, and I feel great, which is weird. People should not feel great.
You're just floating on cloud nine, basically?
But I'm grounded, and I'm working hard, and we're not making a ton of money yet, but I know that we're going to be a successful restaurant, and that's what makes me smile, like, kind of in the inside, because I don't smile ever, you know?
How did you feel when there's a growing buzz about the restaurant? Like, was there a part of you where... Because, I mean, maybe I know this because I, look online so much. And
I think there was a buzz. I mean, I had people emailing me. People don't email me. Advertisements email me. It was just like... and everywhere I went, people were just like, when are you going to open? I almost had T-shirts made that said, soon, don't ask me.
Because, I mean, like, from our standpoint, every time there's a new restaurant opening, we'd get a couple inquiries to us about, hey, have you heard anything about this?
Sure.
And, like, Vera's was one where we got the question almost, like, once a week where somebody was asking. But No was, like, another one where people just nonstop wanted to know when it was opening. Like, was there any part of that you, like, realized, like, oh, shit, like, people are paying attention?
No.
No?
I was ready for... I mean, you're not going to make money in this business unless people pay attention.
Yeah.
So I was glad about it.
Okay.
I wasn't freaked out about it at all. I was excited that, hey, this might work. This
I guess,
crazy idea, it might work. Okay, this is good. It was just... Yeah, I was fine with it.
Yeah. This is kind of the first time where the food that the people are eating are almost reflective of you, since you're basically the head chef. Sure. I mean, you worked at other restaurants, but I mean, there's usually another guy that maybe if the food was hit or miss, they're the face of the restaurant that they were getting, like Mike, for example, at SeaBar?
I've been a head chef before, so... But, yeah, it's much more on me now.
Especially, at least in Buffalo, I know it's so small that, I mean, I think everyone knows that this is you.
I think everybody sees me in that open kitchen.
Exactly, and it's an open kitchen. With things like that, and when I met you the first time, we briefly talked about Yelp reviews. Like, has that been a new experience that you've learned to deal with?
Not new.
Okay.
But
I mean, because I guess you probably, even if you're not the head chef, if you read a poor review of a restaurant you worked at.
Yeah, I think, honestly, Donnie, like everybody that works in a kitchen, and especially in open kitchen situations, you can tell when people don't like their food.
Oh, really?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, yeah,
or you can tell when there's an issue with the server. And I think all of it reflects on yourself, whether you're a line cook or a sous chef or anybody in that kitchen.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that feeling, you should probably find another job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense.
But it does... There is a weight on my shoulder.
Yeah. I mean, this is your baby. I mean,
yeah,
this is...
But that's what keeps me going.
Yeah. But, I mean, is there a part of you that... Because, like, I just read a post about a guy who wrote a negative Yelp review, and the restaurant owner, like, literally tracked this guy down and called him and stuff like that. Is there ever... I mean, do you read things like that out there, or do you...
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I do and I don't.
Yeah.
I don't... Okay, so...
Because, like
on...
for example, like, when we went, like, the first week, and I think we went, like, maybe the third day.
Yeah.
And we very rarely make a final verdict on a restaurant or anything like that. We don't put scores. It's literally just what our experience was. And I, like, super emphasize that this is a 3-day-old restaurant. Like, this is not going to be the same restaurant in 3 months.
It wasn't the same restaurant a week later.
Yeah, you told me that you've already changed the menu a little bit here and there.
I changed the menu a week and a half into opening.
Wow.
Because I realized that there were certain things that I was trying to do that I couldn't do at that point.
Okay.
That I needed the staff to be trained more, and I realized exactly where we were at.
Yeah.
And myself was at. And just the situation of the building, what we could pull off in that tiny kitchen.
Yeah. But I mean, like, so when you read a review, though, and it's somebody who's, like, saying, like...
Sure, I pulled my hair out. But...
It just makes you upset that somebody's making a verdict on something.
No, it doesn't make me upset at all.
No?
It doesn't make me upset. It kind of just... It just, unless they're really bad. It kind of just pushes me harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because at the end of the day, that's what I'm there for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Some people won't like the food I do.
I always have an issue... Because, I mean, literally nobody was doing ramen before No came out. Or at least to my extent. I have no idea where you'd be able to get it.
No, there's not many places in the U.S.
Yeah.
There's probably 100.
Yeah, and I had issues... because something like ramen is where you get into that authenticity discussion.
Sure.
And it's something that it always annoys me in Buffalo when in an area that there's literally almost nothing, that people become experts on authenticity or things like that. And I don't know, I felt it, especially with No and especially with Cantina Loco, where there's now this uprising of people who know what it should be like, and I feel like there's such a...
Good. More people should read more and try more food.
Yeah, I don't know. Some of those people just annoy me. Yeah.
I know it doesn't really... I mean, it doesn't really annoy me unless they tell me how to cook my food, and they can't anymore. Like...
That's what I guess I was getting at, is people who think they know how something should be, but are literally eaters and not chefs.
That's their choice to go to a restaurant or not to go to a restaurant. I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
There is this weird, especially on the web, there is a lot of people who have the authenticity thing, like especially with ramen and Mexican food,
Yeah.
because I think that you have to think about it like this. They've had it in a certain place.
Yeah.
Certain, like, food is a big deal, like the first time you have something, because you kind of remember the place the first time you had a street taco,
Yeah.
or the first time you had a really good bowl of ramen.
Yeah.
You kind of remember everything about it, or you try to. And I think that some people will never get that on Elmwood in Buffalo if
Yeah.
they have had ramen in Tokyo.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to do my damnedest to try to.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I think is that things can still be delicious if they're not,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I am trying to make...
I mean, is that your goal, though? Are you trying to recreate?
No, I'm
Okay.
trying to make the best ramen I can.
Okay.
And I'm trying to do it in a certain style. Authentic is never going to happen. First of all, I'm a white guy.
You didn't spend 10 years learning how to...
Nobody does. Nobody does this. Nobody spends 10 years. They
Like
just
those-
work because they have a job, and all of a sudden they're a ramen master.
Yeah.
You know? Or they buy a place and they're a ramen master, you know? Do you know how many Apudos there are? Do you know Apudo?
Yeah. I haven't been there.
There's 80 Apudos in
Jeez.
Japan. They're a chain. It's like... Apudo in Japan is like Mickey D's almost. And it's great that they eat on that high level, but
Yeah.
it's fast food, kind of.
Yeah.
You know, it's great fast food.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Like, I will never. You'll probably never have the experience of eating in Tokyo
Yeah.
at No, but you're gonna have a really good meal.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to do it with certain guidelines. I'm just about to change the menu in a month.
Okay.
So
Well,
it's gonna be. I'm gonna do some things that you would never find in
Wow.
a traditional ramen place. I'm gonna do Tom Yum ramen,
Okay.
and blend Asian and Korean, Thai and Japanese foods together in a ramen setting.
Nice.
The menu's gonna change and get a little cool.
Get a little cool.
Get a little cooler. Yeah.
Nice. I was actually going to ask you. So I guess that's like basically the plans is to evolve the restaurant, or
I always want the restaurant to change. If it sits still, it's a dead restaurant.
yeah.
If we're making the same food, for 1 year, we'll just get bored. I
Yeah.
mean, how do you do that? I couldn't make the same thing every day.
Yeah.
It would kill me.
Is there like any maybe plans of changing the business at all in terms of hours or anything like that? Because when I heard that there's a ramen place opening, I was like, I really hope they're open at 2 a.m. because that would be like one of my favorite great drunk meals to have.
It's something we're on the verge of doing very soon. I want it to happen when we have a beer and wine license. So
Yeah, that makes
I
sense.
think that, if it's going to be a drunk food, I would like to make the revenue off the beer and wine.
Yeah.
So I can pay my people a little bit more. So, dealing with drunk assholes, you got to take care of your employees.
Yeah.
So I want to wait for that kind of. We might move forward with it a little bit sooner.
Yeah.
The hours are going to expand. I'm just not sure when.
Maybe more as it gets warmer, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah. But also, we're just settling in, and right now we're at a good pace.
Yeah.
Everybody understands what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Not only the outside people, customers, but the employees,
Yeah.
So you have to start small, I think. Training the people that you hire, they didn't know what ramen is.
Yeah.
Not even the cooks, the servers. And then hire people that they can train. So it's just
Yeah.
it's a gradual process. We'll take on more. I am looking to do something else in Buffalo.
Really.
Pretty soon, maybe in the same general area.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. That's
That's in your head right now, or?
kind of. We're
Right.
kind of moving forward with it.
Nice.
I'm not going to stop working 85 hours a week for a while. Is all I know.
So you said that you're happier now than you thought you would be at this point.
Yeah.
Is that because the restaurant has been so successful, or I mean, as far as
We're not.
attendance and customers and things like that, or?
No, it's not. It's not about. We're not making a ton of money on it.
Yeah, well,
we're
I meant
making enough to
maybe
get
not.
by, and it's good.
Is the turnout, I guess, better than you thought it would be, or?
No, we had a dead week last week. Super Bowl week sucked. It just feels good. I mean, honestly, it's been my dream since
Yeah.
I can't remember. I mean, like, what was the end game for me if I didn't do this? I would have been, and I probably would have been a pretty good sous chef for someone in or out of the Buffalo area for the rest of my life. Who knows what level I would have gone to? I probably would have moved again.
Yeah.
To some crazy place. But I was like, okay, what am I going to do? And I kind of had to do no.
Yeah.
Or else I would have just been beating my head in for the next 30 years cooking someone else's food.
Yeah.
You know? There wasn't any other choice. You know?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you made this one,
Yeah,
because
me too.
our meal that we had there was delicious, and we're looking forward to going back very soon. We generally have an issue where it's hard for us to repeat visit restaurants because we're always trying to put something new on the site, but
Yeah.
but I want to go there for brunch definitely soon. I saw that you guys had some of the spam and eggs, and
Yeah, we're doing Sundays are 1 to 8. It's
Nice.
like Asian hours. Sundays.
nice.
We've actually, in the past 2 weeks, Sundays, we've had more Asian customers than,
Really?
yeah.
That's awesome.
Which makes me, I mean, it actually means that we're hitting
Yeah.
an authentic noodle bar atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty...
It's a good compliment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Yeah.
Chris, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
down here, man. It's been fun.
Yeah, thank you.